So commodities continue to soar to new all-time highs. We're starting to see minor cracks happening in the stock market. Remember, we're looking at the Magnificent Seven. We said there's only 2 out of the 7 that are holding up over there, and the other 5 are starting to turn down. So could that be a preemptive warning signal for what may be coming next for the stock market? And if so, what does that mean for Bitcoin and crypto? Can Bitcoin close the year green? That is the question. We're about 7% down. That would, if you again close that gap of 7%, you're going to close the candle marginally green, or be a doji candle, indecision candle, neutral, closing at the same place that it opened. Let me know in the poll section. You can vote over there. I'd love to get your thoughts, and you can do that by going to this section, and you can say BTC is down 7% on the year. Will it close red or green? Well, of course, since we are red, the obvious and the majority are voting, 76% are saying that it's going to close red. 24% of you are green. Smash the like button as well. Help me out over there. Smash the like button and let's continue. So there's a lot of important things coming up. We've been building the case for what could bring volatility within the market. While volatility has been recontracting, remember, you go through these periods of contraction and expansion. So we've been recontracting, and in preparation of the next expansive move. Of course, we need to be really careful to see what happens next. Of course, this is a picture of just complete annihilation and red across the board. Look at that, double-digit losses on the day for the top 100 altcoins over there. Bitcoin as well still coming down, and consequently, if Bitcoin comes down, the rest of things come down even further, and it's a complete pain trade, right? If you are long, at least on altcoins. So we'll talk about this. One of the coins that we long on, though, is XMR, right? XMR actually holding up over here. If you look at the year, really consolidating into those highs. That's one of our longs. We'll talk about that one. We'll have a look at a few others. I saw, World Liberty Finance, we short on that trade. Beautiful, coming towards the downside, breaking down one of the upsloping trend lines on the lower time frames that we had been looking at, and consequently that short is paying dividends. So what's happening in the markets? What can you look at least towards, and what is the market busy pricing in? Well, currently the market is pricing in that there may be a rise in the CPI inflation data year on year, which is going to be coming out later on today. That's 5:30 my time. In the Gulf, it depends where you are in the world. It's probably nearing the stock market open, a couple of hours into the US market open. So, of course, that's going to bring a bit of volatility. And then we have the Bank of Japan interest rate decision, where they're probably going to hike interest rates as well. And consequently, this does all affect the markets. And if we have a look over here, we also saw the pizza demand. Yes, you heard that right. The pizza demand, the orders from the Pentagon exploding. Anytime that the orders of the Pentagon explode for pizza orders, something's going down, right? Of course, speculation that Venezuela is in trouble with the US, or maybe under attack. And that could be part of the reason why we started to see, or at least there's always an excuse, right? We saw it in the charts before, but part of the reason why some of the equity started to come down and the commodities continue towards the upside over there. So let's have a look at that. One thing I wanted to highlight as well, just lining that up with the inflation and how the Fed start to cut aggressively towards the end of those cycles, right? You can see what happened the previous times. If you look at the Fed funds rate and how aggressively they cut over here, that led into a bear market in the late 2000s. And then when I say the late 2000s, I mean towards the end of the year, in the year 2000. And basically prices came down for about 3 years. You can have a look over here. Fed funds rate gets cut aggressively, and the stock market rolls over into what's known as the 2008 collapse over there. And now we're starting to see, again, the Fed funds rate is starting to come down quite aggressively. So if we do see something like that, aggressive cutting over here, that probably will roll the stock market over as well. And that's why we've been paying a lot of attention to what is actually happening within those stocks. And if you go through to the previous historical data of the S&P 500 before US midterms, going all the way back to 1926, what we have actually seen is that you experience an average drawdown of 18.2%. So we're in that environment where you could start to see the stock market rolling over. And of course, that's not going to be good for the majority of cryptos. If you're a bull, that is. If you're a bear, wonderful, absolutely wonderful stuff. It gives you the opportunity to make money on the short side as prices go down, as well as to allocate bigger spot positions at the lows, right? And that's ultimately how we make money in crypto within Bitcoin, is through the volatility of the ebbs and the flows of the bull and the bear markets. That is where you make those life-changing gains. the generational wealth, right? How you increase your BTC bags, right? Your BTC hodl position, spot exposure over time. That's what you need to be considering, right? So the smallest we ever saw was 7.4%, while the biggest, which I'm not suggesting that this is going to happen, but 41.8% drawdown on the stock market. I guess that's not a drawdown for the stock market. That is a cataclysmic crash. So I just want you to remember this chart and keep attention on this. Remember, we spoke about it yesterday, as well as the unemployment rate spikes, which we're starting to see the rise in unemployment rate with the Fed funds rate being cut aggressively. That does lead to these types of crashes, right? Big crashes. Where would this go? Well, of course, you're always going to have very key technical supports on the S&P 500. You're going to have massive support, which would lead to a technical bounce anyway, even if you saw something like that, 4,733. So we'll get into that. Let's have a look at these stock market related things. First, I wanted to highlight the DXY is attempting to bounce from the key level that we outlined over here, starting to get daily candle closes back above the 50% level at 98, right? That's the level, 98. As long as you continue to consolidate over there, I would expect continuation. Now, this is still a low time frame downtrend with low lows and lower highs. It hasn't broken that downtrend yet, but it is in an area of interest where we expect a little bit of a pause and a potential bounce. Remember, a bounce out of here from the DXY will create a pressured situation for the S&P 500, which just happens to line up with all the other things that we're looking at. CPI, Bank of Japan interest rate decision, Pentagon ordering pizzas, all these things, right? All these things over here. So there's your S&P 500. It's okay until you look at some of the other stock market levels like the NASDAQ, Dow Jones, etc. You're really fighting to defend this key level over here. This is your SR flip. We said we really want to see that yellow box held if you're a bull. Otherwise, you do risk starting to roll over. We've been long on this so many times throughout the overall bull run, for the equity bull run, that is. And this is the last trade that I gave over here. So you should have locked in a whole bunch of profits. It's a clear and obvious hard stop on this long trade. If you take out that previous swing low over there, you do not want to take that level out. If we look at the Dow Jones, this is actually looking better than the rest. It's still way above the yellow box over there. Of course, hard stop as well below that swing low. And then if you look at NASDAQ, this one is starting to fall out already, losing that level. And for the first time, if you take out the swing low, you're going to be putting in a lower high and then a lower low, which is a trend reversal on the daily time frame, which probably leads into the same thing in the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, because the NASDAQ tends to lead. The tech stocks are a lot more volatile, kind of like crypto leads. Well, this is a higher beta play as well when you look at the NASDAQ as an overall index. If that leads towards the downside, probably you're going to see the same thing happen on the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. If we look at the US small caps over there, well, same thing over here. Double top in play. This is still okay, but look at it. It's just rounding. It's rounding over here. So if you start to take out that swing low, ultimately you're coming back for the support, 3,388. Look at Tesla. Big down candle over there, but overall this is still very strong. You can chop about over here. You basically just want to continue to defend that 411. So that was one of the 7 that looked strong. We have Google still placed as one of the 7 that look strong. So that's 2 out of the 7 is Tesla and Google. This is still an uptrend with high highs and high lows despite the pullback that occurred over here. And I guess to get back into a position of strength, you're going to be looking from that low to the high, and you want to get back above 299. So reclaiming that 50% level. Just watch for that support into the golden pocket. And then targets in mind is 349 for Google, which is going to be a 261.8 fib extension. So I do think Tesla, as long as Tesla holds up above this white line of 411, that's your major range breakout level. As long as it remains above that, it's bullish and it has the potential of reaching all the way up to 420. However, you do need to pay attention. If you do break back below that, well, that's a massive warning sign because you've deviated a massive significant area, that being the range high, and that could bring it a whole lot lower, probably back to the entry over here. So let's go into the weaker ones. The weaker ones that we had been looking at is Apple. We're in the short trade on Apple. Remember, we took the short trade all the way from the top. We bailed out of the short trade. Of course, I'm human. It looked like that's getting ready to move up again. Bailed out of the short trade, re-entered back into the short trade, and now we're in the money, right? So we're holding that position over there. breaking the rising wedge that came into the top of the parallel channel, which is an area of interest where you'd look for weakness over there. So we'll see if we can get a move further down to about 235. NVIDIA, we'll have a look at that one. Also, a big one to consider if you're starting to see weakness over here. We took the long trade. We hit it exact, perfect for the long, took profits over there. And of course, losing one of the key levels is the yellow box over there. Lower lows, lower highs. This thing's going to distribute, in my opinion, all the way back down to at least 147 to 150. So you have to ask yourself, what does that mean for the rest of the market when you consider the weighting that NVIDIA holds in terms of the broader stock market? It's got a massive market cap, right? Bigger than pretty much crypto. So another 12% down over there, it's going to make headlines, right? 12% down will make headlines, and then we can reevaluate. Do you find support over here? I think it's probably noteworthy to already measure out where some of those key target levels would be. And well, if you have a look at that, pretty interesting to me, because that 50% level taken from the major swing low to the swing high over there does actually just so happen to line up exactly with that area of interest, which I previously mentioned would be the range high. So let's just quickly mark that out. Let's move that out the way. Let's just change the color and we'll make it, let's go with yellow because it's easier to see. So you're going to be targeting about 150 on NVIDIA for potential support, but it also depends on the momentum. You could easily run through that, but then you're going to be looking for a bounce and a reclaim. So if this keeps coming down aggressively like this, I would think something like that, right? Probably swing all the way through, possibly even tag that 130, and then you're going to be looking for a technical bounce off of that level. And the reclaim, there'll be a lot of fear in the market, but the reclaim of that 150 would probably give you a more stable opportunity to look for allocation and entry with a stop below. And then hopefully this becomes the next major high low. So this was your previous one, high low. Then this becomes your next major high low in that 150 region on a closing basis, right? So I think you can come through that 130, reclaim, close back above 150. That's what we're looking at over there. Meta, very bearish. Previous daily candles over there, still coming down. Microsoft still looks bearish. Amazon also very bearish. Looks similar to NVIDIA in the sense that it's probably going a whole lot lower. You've lost that key level, right? That key level of support over there, or what was resistance, you wanted to flip into support, and you failed at that level. Coinbase continues to come down. I think inevitably you're going to tag this, probably even go through that level. Circle continues to come down. So, yep, bleeding out over there. Not so good. Robinhood also threatening these levels. Remember, if you start to lose the yellow box, that's your SR flip. You're going to be creating a new swing low, and then it's lower lows and lower highs, and then we're in a downtrend, right? Look at this one over here. MicroStrategy getting completely wrecked. You have to ask yourself, all the buying that they've done recently has created short-term little pumps on the low time frames for Bitcoin, like the hourly, 4-hourly chart, and then it just gets given up. These guys must be under massive pressure. Massive pressure. We covered 75% of our short trade since the top over here at 305, and I'm almost reconsidering just allocating it back in because I'm not a massive fan of these double bottoms. I'm pretty confident right now that you're probably going to just melt straight through that level, and then you're going to be coming down here. I'm not even going to take profit over here because based on this consolidation, that psychologically there's going to be a lot of people in pain over here, and this is probably going to break straight through. So there's a chance I'll reallocate that. The only thing that's holding me back, I'm an open book with you guys, completely open book. The only thing that's holding me back from reallocating that 75%, this is on my main trading account where I was actually looking to make sizable gains off of the short trade originally. And the only thing holding me back is I'm going on vacation very soon. So tomorrow will be the last video that we do together until the new year. And if something massive happens and I have to do an emergency stream, and that's the only reason I want to enjoy my holiday, right? So I don't know if I want to reallocate that 75% and have to manage it. I guess I could just put a stop loss over here at 201. But, if you want to actively trade and you have been following along the same thing as me, well, you may as well take that 75% you covered, just reallocate it over here and just enjoy the ride down. But I don't want to sit and monitor these charts when I'm switched off for vacation. Okay, let's go back into commodities over here very quickly, and then we'll move into crypto after that. And we also have a giveaway. Don't go anywhere. We have a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away $500. We'll give away $500. Smash the like button if you want to participate in that. There you go. Smash the like button over there. And let's go. So commodities, gold, applying pressure into the double top territory, 4380. I don't like double tops either. It's probably going to break through over there. And we're going to look at continuation highs. So we're still in that gold trade. That looks good. We look at silver, now fast approaching that $69 target that we had. Bullish continuation over here. It looks very strong. We can even look over at platinum and extending those gains as well, right? Platinum breaking on. This is very significant. Let's actually have a look at platinum on the weekly. It's significant because these are major tops, which means if you can break and hold above this, 1,916, this thing's probably going to expand higher. So really metals are going absolutely crazy. And then you have a huge cup and handle formation on copper. You can see over here, cup and handle formation on copper. There it is, cup handle breakout target 815 over there. So no, guys, I have to leave. You're saying I mustn't leave. I have to leave. I have to go on holiday for a little bit. But I'll be up to date with the Discord community, by the way, with Whale Room Traders. I'll be up to date over there, giving you a daily update. Unless the market is literally in a 1% range and going sideways, that's the only reason I wouldn't say anything. Otherwise, I'll be doing updates over there. And my Twitter will operate as usual. So you can always follow those links in the description below, right? If you go over there, you got the social accounts. Follow me on Instagram if you actually want to see the shenanigans, right? What I'm getting up to over the vacation period. Let's move on. Okay, so we've covered that. We've covered the metals. Everything looks good over there for continuation. Let's do the giveaway. So the giveaway, we're choosing between row 30 and row 68, and that is as per the discussion that we had yesterday. For any of you that signed up and deposited, so you had to deposit $300 to be eligible. That is for BitUnix. If you still want to participate, we're going to do another giveaway tomorrow. I'm doing $500 today and $1,500 tomorrow to give you guys an opportunity to still get in on the giveaway. And also because I read the comments and you guys voted for that, you said rather split it $500 over 4 different accounts to increase your odds of winning. So how do you participate before we do the giveaway? There's a link in the description below over here. Remember, BitUnix is a great exchange because there's no KYC and they have great liquidity over there. You can win $50,000 by trading there, plus an iPhone 17 Pro. So use that link and you're getting VIP fees, right? By using that link, we're trying to help you to save fees. So, and then you entered into this giveaway. So everything is linked below for you over there. Let's do the giveaway. So we're choosing between row 3 and then down to 68, right? If it lands on like 54, whatever, we'll just spin it again. And you have to be $300 to be eligible. So some of you are a little bit below that, like $40. Unfortunately, you're not eligible, right? If you look at that one, $40 for this account number. We're going to spin again if we land on someone that's under 300. So let's go. Generate row 43. Let's see who's row 43. 43. Are you eligible? Yes, you are. Wow, that's super well deserved. Actually, you guys can see that's completely random. There's no way that I can manipulate this. And I say super well deserved because this person deposited, you know, am I reading that correct? It is correct, right? It's for almost $43,000. They deposited $42,915. I think that's super well deserved. So if your user account is, and I'm just going to have to zoom in because the screen is quite far from me over here. If your user ID on BitUnix is 385-364-184. So I'll read it again. 385-364-184. Okay, it's going to be immediately credited. You guys say this guy has too much money already. Look, I mean, it's completely random. This is off Google, random number generator on Google. So I didn't, you know, manipulate this or pick this. There's no way I can do that. I guess it's well deserved. He gets it over there. We're going to do 3 more tomorrow. So wait, let's just quickly highlight this guy, row 43. Can I actually edit on this? Hopefully I can. Hopefully I have edit capabilities and there we go. Okay, so that's the winner. He can't win again. So tomorrow we'll do 3 more giveaways, right? 3 more. I'm going to do 500, 500, 500. We'll spin the thing 3 more times. Make sure if you want to participate, you sign up over there on BitUnix, a little bit of a Christmas giveaway for you guys. There it is. Click on that, sign up, and you're getting the $2,000 giveaway over there. So let's move on. Let's get into the crypto chart. Well, what is going on over here? Well, if we look over here at the long to short ratio skew, balanced. What does that mean? Bears are in control. We did see a little bit of an increase in liquidations where more longs got liquidated, of course, off of the next move towards the downside, 543 million. And most of those, of course, are longs getting liquidated. Now, remember, in these very low volume environments, it won't take much for a manipulator, whatever you want to call them, a whale can come in, an exchange can come in, and they can create a short squeeze very easily in this environment. Like, you can come in with $10 million, which for an exchange is absolutely nothing. Or a whale is absolutely nothing, and you can create a massive squeeze, right? Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of an edge to determine when they may do something like that, but I would expect at some point they will do something like that. So don't be surprised if you see a bit of a short squeeze. On the low time frames, I mean, we did see that yesterday. Look at that. You got a bit of a short squeeze right above the Monday high, probably taking out all the stops that are short over here and smacked it straight back down. So these types of choppy environments can continue to take place. The fear and greed 17 still in capitulation-like environment, 7-day daily exchange volume, which is one of your important things to focus on, bleeding out. Very hard for price to sustainably rally in that environment. It continues to come down, and we're seeing, well, yes, they had a bit of inflows on BTC. ETH was still outflows. Very choppy over here. You know, are we in accumulation or distribution? I mean, I still think that there's distribution, but there will be a chance for more accumulation at a later date. The market is going to be boring, guys. This is why it's a perfect time to take a break, to go on a little bit of a holiday, switch off a little bit, refresh, recharge, and then come back focused and strong. However, do not become complacent in these environments, because if I do see something, and that's what happened previously, right? If you go back 3 years ago, in December 2022, and you go and watch my video from, I think it was the 27th of December, I did do a live stream because I saw something happening in the charts with backwardation and a whole bunch of different things where I was like, it's very quiet, never short a dull market. That's the other saying. So I wouldn't necessarily say to try and short Bitcoin at this point. There's altcoins that you can short and other things, but you don't want to enter fresh new shorts right now necessarily, right? And I think it was the 27th of December 2022, and Bitcoin was about 16-ish K off of the FTX lows at 15.5, and about 16.2, that was the trigger. Bang, we went all in, fully long, and that was a dull, boring market while everyone was on vacation. So therefore, put the alerts on, right? Make sure that you're following me in the link in the description below, on Twitter, on Instagram. If you're not already in Whale Room, and something major like that happens, I will alert you guys. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do a show, because remember, there's a whole team around this stuff. There's people that drive these comments that you guys are putting on the screen, upload the videos, make thumbnails, blah, blah, blah. I may not be able to go live, and therefore you want to follow me on social media. So let's have a look quickly at the liquidation levels. It's very low, super low liquidity. Look at that. Most of it's on the downside, but that's like nothing. This is what I'm talking about. $7 million will be liquidated if price goes there. It's absolutely peanuts in the greater scheme of things. On the upside of here, 10 million, it's also very low. That's on the daily. We'll go on the weekly, see what the weekly is doing. Is there even liquidity over here? Weekly is building on the upside, 75 million. It's not much for the weekly. It's okay. It's average. I wouldn't really consider it much of a draw. There's nothing going on over here. Total or others continues to bleed out. It's probably going to retrace fully that 10th of October low and come deeper down into this yellow box over here. Quick look at total breaching this trend line over here. It's probably going to break through and come down to 2.47. So we'll see what happens over there. Total 2 still coming down. It's probably also going to break that. Total 3 probably also going to break that trend line. So ultimately, I am still looking for low prices across the board. And for Bitcoin, I think you'll get a beautiful technical bounce from 69 to 70K. That's worth bidding. If that happens before the end of the year, you know, maybe that will lead to a Santa rally in the next week off of a short squeeze, but I doubt it, right? I think probably you're going to see it at some point in January to form. Maybe you get that right shoulder. USDT dominance continues to apply pressure into this level, and it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before this trades higher. Target levels 7.8 to 8% over there, breaking out of the bull flag while Bitcoin breaks down the bear flag, where we already have 1, 2, 3 full candles that have traded below that trend line over there. Therefore, a full confirmation. That's pretty much a confirmation. You know, I just said that you don't want to short a dull market, but theoretically, if you're looking at trend continuation over here off of this bear flag, this would be the short trade, right? If you did want to short this and you're going to actively monitor this trade so you don't get squeezed and lose money, this would be the trade, right? That's what you're looking at. You're going to be trading it down like that to 60K. And if it is a bear flag, because remember, important thing to remember when it comes to chart patterns, they morph and change based off of new information. So what could be a bear flag over here could eventually turn into, you know, a flat correction. And you need to be a little bit nimble, right? And allow for things to flow. But if this is a bear flag, well, that's another 29% downside move if it plays out in full. And that's giving you a 6.3 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Maybe you're long on spot, right? And this is just an opportunity for you to hedge against that position. Maybe, right? Again, I'm not going to take the short trade because I'm already short on MicroStrategy, which is a much higher beta play. It moves a lot quicker and more aggressively than Bitcoin, both up and down. So when risk off, MicroStrategy unfolds quicker. So I don't need to take this. But if you were looking for a trade, that would be it, right? That would be one of the opportunities over there. Working on your fourth candle, very, very, very close to breaking down. Again, bear flag measured move is down to $61,000, but I do still think there's massive, strong technical support at 70. So you got to take it one step at a time. So theoretically, you know, you could do something like that, bounce, and then you could still play the rest of the move out. So we'll take it one step at a time. First, 70K, then we can look to some of those other target levels over there. And you got your bear moon that's going to be coming up as well. It's like today or tomorrow. So just to add, you know, salt to the wound or insult to the injury, you have that as well. We spoke about the high volume area over here, the points of control. Basically, price needs to get back above that to change anything. This is still bearish on Bitcoin. The hourly chopping all over the place. We spoke about layering into the short trade over here. So if you did take that low time frame trade, this was more for the Whale Room members on the live Zoom session. Well, you would be getting paid off of that trade. I spoke about this yesterday and why I said I think that ETH BTC is probably going to take out the red line, and now you've done that, and why that will probably translate to Ethereum doing what Pump.Fun has done, right? Let me just go to Pump.Fun just to quickly showcase it, and we'll zoom in, right? So we have a very similar pattern over here, falling wedge into key support, and we had this little bit of a purple line holding as those high lows, and I said it broke through. You remember that? Yesterday we spoke about it, and I said you may see the same thing for ETH, and we're seeing that in the ETH BTC chart. If ETH BTC goes down, you're probably going to get ETH unwinding over there and doing the same thing. Well, there it is, ETH breaking the purple line, so ETH is yet to unfold in the same way that Pump has. That would do something like that, okay? Dropping down closer towards the $2,000 level, which is about an $800 drop from here. And if you look at Pump, well, the US court just approved a new class action lawsuit against Pump.Fun and Solana Labs, and they claim that insiders use validator access and JITO tools. Imagine a court trying to figure out what is a JITO tool. Then they did that to front run meme coin launches. Absolute criminality. Retail left holding the losses, and therefore Pump goes down. So Pump.Fun goes down. And we spoke about that as well when it was happening. We said that probably unlikely to hold this and bleed through. And I guess part of the catalyst, you know, that is the reason. That is the reason for that. So going back to Ethereum, what does that mean for ETH? Well, remember, if you have been in the Discord, this is the benefit of being there, right? Sometimes I can't go live. I said I'm cutting the ETH bot at break even. It's doing exactly what we expected and following the very similar pattern to what Pump.Fun did. And therefore, I cut that trade. So that was one of the longs that we had on the table. Let's review some of the other trades. We'll go on to XMR. We are long on XMR. It's one of the few that we're holding. And we in the money. No chance of losing. Stop to move to break even. You can even take 2, 3, 4% profit, whatever you want. If this breaks and holds above 450, it's off to the races. It's one of the stronger ones. Zcash, I said yesterday, if yesterday's candle takes out the low, it increases the chances that that is the local top over there, and it's going to be dropping down for a short-term pause at 300 on Zcash. And then after that, I think it will break through and basically full retrace all the way down to 75. We have, for those of you that are in the syrup short, I don't know, this one's not so great. I think you may as well just cut this, honestly. World Liberty Finance, this one's paying dividends. I spoke about that in the beginning on the banter bubbles over here. We've broken that trend line, so now you should start to see acceleration down towards about 1050. Once you take out 1050, you can look for the full retrace of the 1010 wick, 10th of October wick, and therefore we are deep in the money on this trade. You can take some profits. XRP is very, very close to full-on distribution over here. Multiple candles opening and closing below key support. It's very bad. It's bearish. You got a little bit of support that will bounce price at about 130 temporarily. And then after that, and I think very likely full retrace of this entire move back down to like 48.50 cents. Solana, same story. Nothing's changed. $100. SUI, it continues to bleed out. Once you start to trade below that 132, you can just look back down towards 55 at that wick. So painful for altcoins. Very painful. Terrible. Look at this one. I mean, this one's already below, just continues to bleed out. We speak about this every day. Bearish, Cardano bearish, coming for the level that we said. And the question is, you know, will you hold this level? You could go straight through this level and put in a short-term bounce, but ultimately, I think full retrace, similar to XRP, right? Full retrace, you're coming for that 32 cent region over there on Cardano. So, yep. Charles Hoskinson's couldn't get it right on this one. Maybe next cycle. Also coming for the lows over here on AVAX. Very bad. Ton, bad. Casper's bad. We do this every day, and I feel very bad for saying this stuff, but it is what it is, right? Just straight bleeding over here on Plasma. At some point, there'll be a big short squeeze, but then you can look for the short trade off of that short squeeze, only once it happens. Pump.fun, we just covered. So, you know, starting to move. We don't have much price history over here, unfortunately. All you have is this candle. So, yeah, down it goes, right? Down it goes over there on pump.fun. Hyperliquid, we spoke about it, already coming for the first target. We spoke about it when it started to trade under here. I said target number 1, 23.40. Target number 2, 19.50. Target number 3, 17.24. All in the orange lines, one step at a time. Aster, all the way back down, similar to pump. We just don't have enough price history to chart out some key levels. Like, best thing you can do is like just work with some of these pivot levels, right? Like, I mean, you got to throw in like a pivot level and just hope that it hits that line and holds. We'll change the color. There we go, in white. I'm not going to leave this on the chart, but that's all that you can really do. Apex, we spoke about full retrace as well, and it's not there yet, but it will get there, 28 cents. Alrighty. So let me check your comment section. PIPPIN, I'm still holding the short trade on PIPPIN, but PIPPIN be pumping because there it is, right? It's still going up, but it's just, for me, more a matter of time, and it's about the volume. The volume dropping off, price going up, huge divergence. It will mean revert, and the mean reversion is back down to the lows, 0.04. So for me, I'm still holding this trade over here. I just have a grid bot. If it trades above where the liquidation on the grid bot is, I'll just open another series of grids. I'll only try this like 2 or 3 times. It's small money, $500 per grid. So if the first one gets liquidated, I'll open another one. Ultimately, I think that'll pay dividends and you'll get the move down to 0.03. Okay. Let's see. Robinson says, update the BitUnix Excel sheet. Well, it depends when you join. I mean, if you join right now, then yes, you wouldn't see it. But we'll check. There's a whole lot, though, on the list, right? There's a whole lot on this list over here. There you go. There's a whole lot. So, I mean, you can have a look over there. I'm scrolling through for you. If you joined, because I don't know what time they did this, what time they pulled the sheet. Maybe you did it a little bit late, and it's not reflected yet, but then it should be for tomorrow. Okay, let's go BNB. Let's go to BNB over there. I know there's a question around that. All of these things, we also gave a couple of short trades. I didn't take those, but I gave on, I think, BitGet and OKB. But there it is. There is BNB. It's still in distribution. It'll find support eventually at like 688. BGB, we're in the short trade over here. Can they liquidate you? Of course. Yes, they can create a little bit of a scam pump, but ultimately 1, 2, 3 coming in for the fourth test, very likely to break, and then this thing's going to start to come down. OKB, same thing over here. 1, 2, 3 into this trend line. Of course, better if you start to trade back towards these lows, but huge inefficiency. You're coming back for that. You're definitely going to come back for that at some point. Alrighty. Nobody's deleting any comments. Please go and cry somewhere else. This is not the place for you. Just leave. Goodbye. Thank you. There we go. No one deleted any of your comments. I brought it up on the screen for you. All right. What's next? What's next? Orca. We can have a look at that. Let's go to Orca. I can't imagine this looks good, unfortunately, but because it sounds like an altcoin. But let's have a look at that on Binance. Wait, where did it go now? Let's just try that again. Orca. Okay, Orca USDT. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, some people cry. Day Nights says you're going to say that. Go cry somewhere else. Like some people cry. The thing is, what I found is when it comes to financials, you know, it's a very interesting psychological phenomenon because you just share the facts, right? Like I'm literally giving you proof in real time of how price goes to certain levels. Of course, sometimes we're going to get certain things wrong, but that's why we have stop losses and invalidations. But it just shows like psychologically how intense markets are. It's like in other things in life, you know, people won't mind if you like, hey, that car's red. They're like, no, that car's blue. I mean, that's the end of it, right? But here they want to kill you if you say the opposite of where their money is going. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It just shows you overexposed. You completely overexposed. You made a very bad decision, and now you're losing all your money. And the market is the ultimate tutor. And I'm just here to reinforce that. That's it. Like, I'm just telling you what's happening. If you don't like it, just go to a channel that's going to tell you that it's going up only, and you'll still lose all your money, and then you'll blame someone else. Like, it's not my problem. Anyways, Orca trading near new lows. Unfortunately, this is not a bullish sign. You can see how illiquid this is. And I mean, what do you want me to say as well with this chart? Same thing, just straight down. Like best case scenario is that you form a bit of a trading range and you reclaim about 145, right? 145. If you get above that, things change. Okay. What else? Okay, Ondo, we can have a look at Ondo. We did cover that yesterday because obviously there's a lot of hype around Ondo as a real world asset, but you can see where my circle is. So yeah, Ondo, that's going to be major support, is like full retrace. And yes, there will be relief rallies, but all you have to do is look at where the last swing high was, which is over here. That's it. You need to basically recover that to change anything. No crying in the casino. Yeah. Look, the crazy thing is this doesn't even have to be a casino. Like, you know, casino, you don't have control over your entry. For example, there's nothing like that where you can calculate stop loss, entry, take profit. That's spin. It's either red or it's black. The end, right? And of course, we know that the casinos have changed the probabilities to be always in favor of the casino. Always 100% of the time over each spin, the probabilities are in their favor. You have almost no chance of winning. So yes, don't cry at the casino, but definitely don't cry over here because you had the opportunity, right? You have the choice to stick with the trend or not. All right, cool. So let's have a look at a few more things. Yeah, low price discovery over here. Unfortunately, that is the case. It is really, really brutal. Exchanges equal casinos. So definitely if you don't have insight into how to properly use the tools on exchanges, you'll get absolutely wrecked. One thing that I can suggest to 99% of you is make sure you never, ever, 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 ever trading on cross margin, ever. Always put on isolated. Cross margin is a useful tool that you can utilize if you know exactly what you're doing, but just assume that you don't, right? And assume that you don't have control over your risk, and therefore never, ever, ever trade on cross margin. Remember, cross margin means that it uses the margin across the entire account. So let's say, for example, you're in a trade on a short trade. What's the difference between shorts and longs? Well, on a long trade, your max drawdown is capped at 99.99%, right? It goes from A to 0, the end. But on a short trade, your max loss is infinity because price can go up for infinity. So if you're stuck in one short trade on cross margin, and even if that's a small trade, and that price just keeps going up and up and up forever, you can liquidate everything, your entire account. So that's one very important lesson. I actually made a tutorial video, and ironically, that question came up now, and I had it open because I wanted to highlight yesterday where you can go in. If you go onto the timestamps, types of orders, I covered that over here, 37 minutes and 50 seconds in. Maybe what we can do is just link that for the team in the back end over here. Just link that video, this tutorial video below, and put it in the description over there under Bybit. I'll show you how you can use these various different orders. There you can see isolate. Make sure you're on isolated. And then I also show you how you can scale into the trades using that pyramid approach, which was this trade that we're discussing over here. So smaller positions at the bottom, bigger positions at the top over there, therefore reducing your risk, and keep the leverage low and calculate your risk, right? I also show you in this video, I think I show you how to calculate your risk. You can do that using the whale trade site over here. If you go through to just fill in these details, that's it. Show your account size, how far away is your stop loss, that's a stop loss percentage, put in the entry price, even select the ticker from there. We're pulling all the data of the different coins, the risk that you want to put on the trade, the leverage, and then you got all your TPs, right? TP 1, 2, 3, and are you going long or short? And it will tell you literally how much risk you have on the table and how much position you should allocate to that trade. All of it will populate on the right-hand side. So I think I covered that in this video as well. Go and have a look over there. There's a link in the description below. Remember, if you sign up as well to Bybit, you're getting up to $30,000 sign-up bonus, which is pretty much the biggest in the industry. And they're one of the most legit exchanges in the world. I keep quite a significant amount of my capital as well on Bybit to trade with. So there it is. Shows you how to sign up, how to claim your bonus. Maybe just put that video underneath this over here, how to claim your Bybit bonus. Put it underneath that. Okay. And then you guys can see exactly how to safely use leverage. Okay. But remember, I've always advocated in Whale School, if you come to Whale School and we draw out a pie chart, like this, there's a thing of this as a pie chart. I always show you how you want to only allocate a very small amount like that towards leverage. And then the vast majority, which I know is not a great drawing, but that area over here would be spot. And it depends on the size of your account. Okay. So I hope that helps. Alrighty. Cool. Let's see what else. So yeah, you say they make margin by default on exchanges. You got to check on certain exchanges. I would definitely say there's some, sketchy tactics over there where, for example, I've used random exchanges before, small exchanges, to try and buy like random coins that only get listed there. And they sometimes the slider resets. So you set it to 3x leverage on isolated margin. Next thing, you go on a different coin and it's on like 25x leverage or 50x leverage on cross margin. So you need to check independently. That's why you need to have a step-by-step process. If you want to do trading as a business, you need to treat it as a business, and businesses have systems and processes. Step one, go through your step-by-step process. Calculate your position size. Step two, when you're inputting the data, make sure that everything is set. Isolated, the leverage that's required. Step three, right? The leverage that you want. Make sure everything is perfect and do your double, triple checks, just like a pilot would before flying, right? Even though they've flown thousands of times, they still need to go through the steps. Okay. Cool. Gravity doesn't let you use isolated. So when it comes to perpetual trading dexes, it's going to be slightly different because they have different risk calculations because it's a perpetual DEX and it's not KYC'd and things like that. I have noticed that some of them, a lot of the perp DEXs are only cross margin. All right. Alrighty. So let's just quickly wrap up a couple of things before we finish off over here. Things to look out for today. is going to be CPI. Then it's the Bank of Japan interest rate decision as well that's coming into play. Monitor the stock market because the stock market and the DXY bouncing, and then the stock market obviously showing signs of weakness. If that does start to come down, of course, that's going to be problematic. Remember, for those of you that want to, we're doing 3 giveaways tomorrow, 3 separate $500 giveaways. It will be funded within 24 hours, by the way. So if you won and you know that's your account, it will be funded within 24 hours. You'll get that $500 deposited directly into your account, and then you should see that difference over there. Other things to concentrate or focus on: bear flag potential breakdown. Of course, guys, no crystal ball. Like, just look at the things that are happening. CPI, if it comes in hot, Bank of Japan raises interest rates, that changes the cash and carry trade. Everyone's worried about that unwinding. I'm not here to say if it will or won't unwind. I'm just here to say that it's a catalyst that could create the confirmation of the technical breakdown on Bitcoin over here, while USDT dominance wants to go higher. It's all lining up, right? And therefore, manage your risk. You know, I don't have really too many long trades on the table. We short Apple. We are long gold and Monero. Monero is like really the only one that's long when it comes to the crypto market. Okay, so that's what you're looking at over there. You got everything that you need. Links in the description below. Bitfunded Christmas gift promotion. I've been told that you'll be able to action this from tomorrow. So if you tried it yesterday when I mentioned this, this is the buy 2 get 2 free, and you keep 90% of the profits for Bitfunded. If you want to get funded, it will be actioned from tomorrow. So I'll see all of you guys on the next one. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And then we'll finish off tomorrow with the final show possibly of the entire year with a giveaway of $1,500. Have a lovely day, everyone, and cheers for now.